is reflected by its residents' well-being. Engaging with the community, listening to their concerns, and understanding the underlying factors contributing to their situation is not only the job of the administration, but is also in the interest of each resident. Greer Relief is a 501c3 nonprofit that develops strategies that address the root causes rather than simply treating the symptoms. In the community of South Carolina, I am looking forward to hearing about the long and illustrious history of the organization and also how they help build better communities. Their motto is, "Every neighbor matters." Hello, I'm Paige, hosting a series of conversations with incredible leaders on our podcast, Chezuba Talks. I have Caroline Robertson, the Executive Director of Greer Relief, in the studio today. Welcome to the podcast, Caroline.
Hi, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate this opportunity.
Caroline, I'll just introduce you in a bit. You are a graduate of Francis Marion University, a nonprofit leadership institute, and Leadership Greer. You are also the recipient of the 2012 Greer Police Department Citizens Award and both the 2012 and 2019 Sertoma Club of Greer Service to Mankind Award.
Yes, and a proud Clemson University Tiger. So I graduated Clemson University, Parks and Rec. So
awesome.
Nonprofit.
Yes. Wonderful. Yeah, that's quite a celebrated title that you have. So before we begin, Caroline, I'd like to ask you a question. If I were to give you a magic wand, what is the first thing you'd change?
About my community? I would create transportation so that transportation no longer is a barrier for people to either be able to get the resources that they need or the resources magically appear in their communities. So transportation is a large barrier for people across all communities trying to get to the resources, or the communities just don't have access to the resources themselves.
Oh, that is the biggest issue that you're facing currently.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, here I'm giving you the invisible wand and you can have it. So tell me, how do you identify and prioritize the core problems faced by the community that you're serving?
Well, we were given a challenge by the community to try to help our neighbors in need by stabilizing them, and then also taking next steps to try to help end that crisis. And so we just answer that with the program's best practices. We take the work that's being done in other communities, and why recreate the wheel, but let's see what wheels are out there and how they can be molded and altered and fit into our community. So what works best somewhere else may not be 100%, but may work 90% or 95%. And then let's see what we can do in our own community to answer those same needs and challenges. And so we take those and we try to answer the needs of our neighbors that way. We also take the resources that our community has. So we have been answering crisis, as you brought up in the intro, for a very long time. We have been in existence since the Great Depression, 1936 specifically.
That's a long time, yeah.
Very long time. So
time.
we have a very long history of helping our neighbors in need, and so our program has a lot of has been doing what we've been doing for decades. So it's got a lot of community knowledge, community support, but also with that, it has a lot of a baggage with it as well, that we've been doing the same thing for a long time. So in doing that, there are things that we need to change, historical things that we've just been doing that doesn't necessarily mean we need to change it for the sake of changing it, but it is things we need to identify and say, really, is that the way we need to be answering this particular situation? There are people in poverty that that unfortunately, because of the situation, might stay that way for a long time. But there are things that can be done to help them answer the situation that they're in for themselves, if they're given the tools that they need to do that. So sitting down, finding out what tools they need, is the conversation that we want to try to have with them and that we're having with them now. So that is what we're embarking on today. That's what we've started. We started that about almost 9 years ago now. Is let's have those conversations. Let's be intentional. Let's empower our families. Let's empower our neighbors to find out what tools they need in their toolbox so that they can actually take those steps. But let's be with them. Let's take those steps with them and not just leave them out there on their own. Here you go, throw things at them and just say, okay, see you next time, next year. Let's take that path with them.
Yeah. So it is a lengthy process, isn't it? You take time to
It
understand the needs, and then you decide how to gather the resources, and then decide the plan of action to implement
Yes,
these. Yes,
it's
absolutely.
not instant. It is not
Exactly.
instant. It is generational. So a lot of our neighbors have been living in poverty for their entire life, for their from grandparents to child to grandchild and beyond.
Mm.
So it is breaking a long standing cycle. There are also families that are new to need, that this is a new life situation. They've never experienced this before. They come in completely broken. They just are completely aghast that they're even walking in our doors, because they knew what we were and they never thought they would walk in and need help in any
Mm.
capacity. But here they
That
are.
is,
Yeah. So
yeah.
it's we get both ends of that spectrum and then everything in between. So it's just recognizing where somebody is. We One thing we say a lot, and especially in the training process for new volunteers as well as new team members, is we take people as they are. So when they come, they are not at their best. They are not happy.
It
they are
takes a lot
not
of,
they're not pretty. They're not put together because they are absolutely at their end. They are not coming here. We're not their first stop. We're usually their last
last
stop.
resort.
Yes, and
Right.
their last resource, in which means they're at their absolute last wits end, and they've gone
Mm.
through so many other things, and so that also means their crisis is also usually very imminent, if not actually already, like, by crisis I could be a utility need, a disconnect, or they're being put out of their home. It could
Mm.
be, they may be just on the cusp of becoming homeless instead
Yeah.
of actually. But it's some sort of crisis situation that is imminent, and again, they're not at their best. So
Mm.
what we say is we have to have the grace, and we have to have the patience, and we have to have the just
Empathy.
the time, the empathy, yes ma'am,
Yeah.
to really sit back and go, where are you? Let's put this together and try to create the best scenario for you to win in your life situation. And then after we help you with this, let's see what else. Let's try to help take
Mm.
next
Mm.
steps
Mm.
so that you're either not in that position again, or maybe it's job, maybe it's getting you a better job, maybe it's getting you some education, maybe it's just a different life situation altogether. Where do you need to go after this so that you can actually feel better about what's going on, and that you don't need us next year, the year after, or beyond? So it is a
Then,
very long term. Yes ma'am.
right. So I was coming to that, where do you have to employ certain strategies to ensure that the sustainability of your programs, reach beyond your immediate relief efforts?
So it takes funders, and it takes a lot of funders. We have diversified our funding with grant sources, and fundraising, and then individual and corporate donations, so that we can have different funders step in at different times. So right now, really trying to get some grant funders to recognize the long-term commitment is worth it. We've had a few step into that realm and recognize that it is something that they can swallow and be there for. But it is, again, it's not one of those things that in 1 year you're going to see all these wonderful, beautiful,
Changes.
outcomes.
Yes.
It's gonna be one of those things where you're gonna have to stick with us for several years to really be able to see those life changing situations.
Yeah.
Let's take a break to understand what Chezuba is. Everyone at some point ponders on how this beautiful life can be made more meaningful. Maybe you're a leader trying to enhance your employees' experience at your organization. Or you already work for the community and seek volunteers with state-of-the-art skills to strengthen your nonprofit. Whatever your situation, know that you can make a difference. Chezuba began with this very vision, a vision to facilitate every skill and every passion in the world in meeting a social need. Corporate volunteering has several benefits for both businesses and organizations. In parallel, experienced and enthusiastic volunteers join NGO workers, enabling them to serve the community more effectively. Chezuba offers everyone looking to add purpose and meaning to their lives a chance to connect or volunteer virtually with nonprofit organizations from over 100 countries around the world. Visit www.chezuba.net and explore opportunities to find meaning. Chezuba, your platform to do good. And now, back with our guest.
For the benefit of the audience and the people who are listening to this, could you explain what are the programs that you conduct to help people who are?
Yes. Our longtime program, the one that people really recognize us for, that we've done since the Great Depression, is our stability program. That is our essential services. That's rent, mortgage, utilities, prescriptions, financial assistance. We also have a food pantry and supply pantry that goes alongside with that as well. We are definitely about making sure that people's immediate needs are met. If somebody is hungry or in a financial crisis, they have those blinders on. They are not going to be able to do a
Absolutely.
job. They're not going to be able to find a job. They are not going to be able to go to school and be able to really take care of their family if that crisis is going on.
Correct. It's
That
like
need has to be
Maslow's, the
met.
Maslow's, theory of needs.
Yeah. You have to take care of the basics. If you don't take care of the basics, the others it's the blinders, it's the tunnel, the light. They've got to see the light at the end of the tunnel. But once that need is met, there's next steps. Our next step programs begin with Renew. Renew is reaching every neighbor every way. I love acronyms. And it's an enrichment life skills program with free classes that has three pillars. It's job services, financial wellness, and healthy living. Where our volunteer educators come in and teach people in those three topics. And let me tell you, all of everything it falls into one of those three categories, from yoga to nutrition to budgeting to writing a resume to job training, how to interview on a job, mock interviewing. It all falls into that. Well, we were talking today with somebody about doing a Medicare 101 class. So, I mean, that's healthy living, that's healthcare. So it it all falls into that. It all falls into one of those three categories. So really just trying to make sure that our neighbors have the tools in their toolbox that they need to be able to really have the things they need to be able to take care of their family, take care of themselves. We also have some other side along programs. We facilitate the J. Vern Smith Center, which is a one-stop hub of health and human service organizations. We have DHEC, DSS, SC Works, which is an employment agency with unemployment, and then also the free medical clinic. So we have all those resources under our roof with us. So when we're talking about resources and referral and next, we can actually take them to SNAP and to get registered to get resources for food stamps. We can help them with the WIC program. They're just right down the hallway. Free medical assistance, as well as job services right here in our own facility. So referral is not transportation challenged, which we are in our community. It is all within our facility right here.
That is amazing.
Yeah. And then we also facilitate a tax program and help people with their taxes and make sure that the money goes back into their pockets rather than goes to fees and services. So it's a free tax program where everything goes to our neighbors. So they're not paying the $300 and plus to a tax preparer. And our volunteers are amazing. We've been part of that program for over a dozen years. And we have volunteers that have been with us since the very beginning. So
I
very
was just
proud.
going to ask you. Yeah, I'm sure you must be proud of them because they're doing so many, they're donning so many hats under one roof. They're managing so many things. I'm sure you are having somebody doing multiple roles.
Yes. So, and all of the team members, there's 9 team members, and not all full time, but everybody in some way touches a direct service program in some way, and is facilitating answer the phones or volunteer coordination or managing a program, a full program. They're in some way facilitating.
Even educating the people who come in.
Yeah,
it's not an easy job, especially when people are coming with a mental state that is not exactly in the right frame of mind. It's difficult to deal with somebody like that.
And trying to meet all the different variety of needs too. So I mean, we're asking constantly, like, what classes would you like to have, and the ideas really do come through. So really finding out the wonderful ideas that they have. We'd like this kind of class and this kind of class, and it's like, oh, wow, okay, let's. It's interesting. I mean, we partner with the SC law, the bar, SC bar, and they bring a wonderful variety of classes to us with the lawyers donating their time. And it's interesting to see what classes are the big booming classes and the ones that are a little smaller and more intimate. But we've got quite a variety.
That's amazing. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So today, if I were to ask you, Caroline, if I were to ask you, what is the single biggest need that you have? Of course, you talked to us about the transportation, but if somebody wants to help, how can you ask? What is the help that you would ask for?
Well, actually, hands to help us. Volunteer hands are always good, as just attention. Let people know that we're here. Pay attention, and that's probably the biggest, is just awareness that we exist and what's going on in our own community.
You are there to help. Yes.
Yeah.
And lastly, if I were to ask you, what do you think are the core changes required at an individual as well as a societal level?
Okay, this one's a big one. So that people who need help, like food and financial assistance, are all beggars who just are looking for a handout and have nothing to offer, as in they don't have a job of some sort. Our neighbors are the hardest working people I know. 83% of them have jobs. 83, I think 86 this last year, have jobs, and the others that don't have jobs are seniors and aren't working. They're seniors. They're retired. They've already done their bit. So really, it is the misnomer that they're just sitting there waiting on somebody to just give them something is
they're not.
Completely false. They are hard workers. Many of them have 2 or 3 jobs, and it's just a matter of they just don't. They're just not paid enough. They just do not have the resources to be able to actually maintain a living wage, to be able to take care of their family.
Well, I hope through this podcast people get to know about your organization and extend the help that they deem possible for them, whether it is virtual or it is in person, whoever is listening to this. Thank you, Caroline. That was phenomenal. You identify the core problems that people are facing, you understand them, you have empathy for them, and you are creating effective solutions to building a better society. So I
Thank
think,
you very much.
yes, you find, if you find a good neighbor, you have found a treasure. It's like that. So the people of Greer have found you as a good neighbor, and I'm sure they treasure you.
Well, thank you very much for this time and attention. And really, it is about the community. It is about Greer. It is about helping our neighbors in need. It really is all about making sure that the resources that we have in our community go to help our neighbors, not just in need, but just take those next steps. We want a community that thrives. That is our goal.
So, thank you. Thank you very much.
All right.